Hello everyone, welcome back to Out of Spec Guide. I'm Max. You joined me today at Fort Collins Kia, which is letting us use some of their inventory for a non-sponsored video where we're going to tell you in unbiased terms what we think about trim levels for the Kia EV9. You're considering getting this electric three-row SUV. Which one do you get? Which one offers the best value? What features do you get in each? I have had some experience with EV9. I went on a studio press event several months ago, and my colleague Jordan more recently has actually driven several.
That's right. I'm behind the camera, and I just went to the official press drive, which was pretty much only GT lines. Like, they only want to put the press in the nicest car. But they did have a land there, so there's a brief clip in that video with the land at the end if you want to see what we're talking about here. Because here in this video, we're going to be comparing the light and the wind and the GT line, and we're still talking about the land. So we're comparing all four trims and all the things inside those trims. There's a lot of details to get into. I mean, Max, this paper you're holding is monstrous. I mean, look at this.
It's a monstrosity. And within one of these trims, there's two different battery options. So let's break everything down, tell you which one you should get and what features you get on each. First off, the Light is the cheapest Kia EV9 trim, and it's the only one that you can get with two different battery options. So Light is also standard rear-wheel drive. So if you live in a climate like, let's say we do in Colorado, but you actually go skiing a lot or want all-wheel drive, you should avoid the Light. However, the Light being rear-wheel drive means it's efficient and you're going to get lots of range, especially if you get the big battery like this one has. But let's get that battery out of the way. So there's two options. The first battery is a 77 kilowatt hour battery. And for those of you who don't speak nerd, that's actually a familiar battery to other Kia vehicles like the EV6 or the Hyundai Ioniq 5. However, because this vehicle is larger, it gets less overall range. So if you get that cheapest EV9, which is a $55,000 MSRP as of me filming this video, with the small battery, you're going to get an EPA estimated 230 miles of range. If you get the larger battery, like this one has, you actually get less horsepower. So standard with that 77 kilowatt hour cheapest small battery I was talking about, you get 215. With this, you're only going to get 201 horsepower. However, you get a lot of range. This is the range trim of the Kia EV9. Maybe potentially the best for road tripping. So largest battery, you still get that 800 volt high speed charging that Kia likes to talk about. And you get a lot of range, 304 miles EPA estimated. Now with the GT line we tested, we get a little bit less than that, but that one had larger wheels. So today my colleague Jordan is actually going to be testing this one with these smaller wheels. But the combination of having 19-inch alloy wheels and the largest battery and being rear-wheel drive means that this is the one to get if you really care about range. Now, Light also is the lightest on features and options. By the way, the upgrade for the battery is quite a lot. So I said, right, $55,000 if you're getting the small battery. Getting that big battery with all the range, you bump up to just under 60 grand. So it's like a $5 upgrade to get that battery. So if range is really important to you, that's something to consider. If you're just driving around town, if you have home charger and you want the cheapest EV9 for the money, I probably would get that Light with the standard battery. One upgrade you do get with the long range that's interesting though, is the seating configuration. So standard on the Light with the lowest spec battery, that small battery, is a 7-seat bench configuration. However, in this model here, apologies for the lighting, it might be all over the place on camera, but what you can see is that you get a 6-seat configuration because you get this kind of captain's chair arrangement. Basically, you get 2x2 seating for the second and third rows. That's a big distinguishing feature of the EV9 is that it's a 3-row electric SUV. Not many of those in the market. And if you're getting one of these Light trims, you're getting one of the more affordable ones. In terms of colors, exterior, like I said, the alloy wheels, all of it's the most basic on this Light trim. But before we leave the Light model, I want to talk about with Jordan how you actually get a better front trunk in this model because it's rear-wheel drive that you lose in the Wind, Land, and GT line.
That's right. Here in the rear-wheel drive, there's no motor in the front, which means more space for a front trunk. So this is bigger. This is 3.5 cubic feet, totally decent size, not R1S or Lightning size by any means. It's relatively small, but bigger than Tesla Model 3. You have access to your 12-volt battery here, which people have talked about with Kias lately. Air filter replacement there. So nice, accessible things under the hood, the washer fluid and all that, even the battery terminal for jump starting a car. And yeah, you could use this for decent storage space. Over here on the higher end models, with all-wheel drive, you lose about half that space. This is about 1.8 cubic feet, much shallower. Still the same air filter access, battery access, but it's definitely a shallow two-tier thing, bigger than the EV6 and the Ioniq 5, but it is definitely small. Maybe you'd put, what, an EVSE, like a charging cable in here, some cleaning supplies, very minimal things.
Yeah, you're not really going to be fitting anything much larger than, like you said, Jordan, charging cables or maybe a briefcase. So all-wheel drive is nice, but you are losing some packaging in that front trunk space. Wind is a 4,000 jump from the big range battery, but if you're comparing the cheapest Kia EV9 that I mentioned, right, with the standard range battery, it's a 9 grand jump, because here we're looking at about a 64 grand MSRP. What do you get for that? Well, the big headline item is all-wheel drive. If you care about that, this one has it. All-wheel drive, more traction capability, dual motors. That also means it's substantially quicker. This one is about a 7.8 second-ish 0 to 60. This one jumps that down to 5.2 seconds. So if you care about having a quick, peppy feeling one, you'll want one of those dual motor powertrains. However, it is a bit less efficient, right? Remember I said this is the Range King big battery light with 304 miles? Well, by getting all-wheel drive, we get that down a bit to 280 miles. However, this one has more color options, like as you can see, this nice blue. It also gets a roof rail option, so you get these. There are some nicer roof rails we'll go over in the higher end trims, but basically, cosmetically, you're getting that. You, interestingly, are still getting 19-inch alloy wheels, which are still good for range, but you're still getting those wheels. Now, let's get inside, talk a little bit about driver assistance in general with Kia EV9, and then the seating configuration difference that you get between going from light to wind. The big interior upgrade you get from going from light to wind is actually a dual sunroof, which looks, I think, quite nice, right? You've got your kind of normal size sunroof where the drivers are, and then a more expansive moonroof style here. So it's not quite a all roof panoramic setup like a Rivian R1S, but still, I think, nice and airy and ventable, crucially.
And a lot of people actually mentioned that they like that this is closable. Like the R1S, the Tesla, you can't cut off the roofs without aftermarket accessories. This is power closing, that's manual closing, and a lot of people in the comments have said they prefer that, which is interesting.
Yeah, so that simpler, more traditional sunroof design that you're getting in this is not offered by the Rivian and some of the, maybe fancier, more expensive EVs. Nice that you get that here. Also, we go back in seating configurations to what the standard light had. It's weird, but right, the light with the big battery had that 2x2 configuration in the back. This one has a 3x2 configuration where the second row is this bench setup, and it's decent. You don't get heated and ventilated options though on light or wind. We're going to have to move up to the next trim we'll talk about to get that. But these seats are really nicely configurable. You can see, right, they have a few different angles. You can move them along the rail. So I like the practicality of the bench seat. However, if you're going to use the third row a lot, then yeah, you probably want one of those 2x2 options with easy access. However, benefit also of the bench configuration is you've got your center console there. One thing I really wanted to mention, all of these EV9s have standard safety features, highway driving assist, and as Kia will tell you, 25 standard ADAS feature, standard across the whole lineup. So that's pretty cool. However, there are a few fancy parking features I'll mention on those higher end trims. One more thing, there's a few more interior color options, and we do get a slightly different seating pattern. We get these kind of ventilated dot pattern in the seats that you get on this slightly higher end wind models. Next up on our Kia EV9 journey is the Land trim, because Land should come after Wind, I suppose, and that is actually quite a large delta in price. 6 grand from the Wind we were looking at previously. You still, of course, get all-wheel drive, similar motor configuration, similar powertrain, but you're getting some cosmetic upgrades and some nice interior upgrades we'll talk about. Some of the cosmetic stuff are these, what they call cube lens on the Tiger grille that they've got, or digital Tiger grille. Basically, you can see these cool LED patterns you have only offered, by the way, on the glossy paint options, but that's somewhat interesting. My colleague Jordan filming me behind the camera. I'm curious what he thinks. He's been around these a lot.
Yeah, the matte paint removes this as an option, which I'm fine with. I think these are a little cheesy, but they are also cool, and it's a unique lighting signature, and it can be even more unique. An optional upgrade is you can buy a upgrade to customize these, which ones are lit up, and it's 5 different customizations. I don't really know which ones they are that you can choose, but that's kind of an interesting way to like subtly improve your customization. And this is actually the cube array that they're talking about here in the lighting, whereas the base models have different, more standard headlights. I think these look super cool, just stacks of cubes.
Yeah, so combination of the cool kind of cube built into the headlight assembly plus these cool customization LEDs on the digital grille. We've also got larger wheels. Now, we don't actually have a Land model in person at the dealer today to talk to you about.
We'll throw a clip right here because they have smaller wheels. This is the GT line. Interestingly, the Land trim has the more triangular wheels that look more like the concept vehicle that we originally saw.
Yeah, maybe more iconic, you could call it. But basically, these are 21-inch on the GT line, which we'll get into. We're talking about Land, though. Imagine these are 20-inch triangle wheels. That's what the Land trim has. Now, the Land and the GT line, which we'll talk about, are very similar trims. Not too big of a price difference between them. What else do you get, though, for the big upgrade in price you pay coming from the Wind? Well, on the Land, you do get a better looking kind of roof rails. They're elevated. They're this nice kind of black trim. You get yet more customization options, and you get some other options to basically make it better. You can add on a performance package to make the 0 to 60 time a bit quicker, a little bit better acceleration. You can also add a tow package, which all of the EV9s we've talked about up until this point have a 2,000 pound towing limit. Well, if you get a towing package on this, then you could tow up to 5,000 pounds. These packages, performance and towing, will be standard on the GT line we talk about next. But you get some nice upgrades here. Anything else big that you think is worth mentioning, Jordan?
Yeah, the power one's interesting because it's the same horsepower, 379, but the torque will jump from 400s up to 516 or so. So you're buying a torque upgrade, which gives you that faster 0 to 60, which people might care about. And that also is only like $900, so it's not as expensive as some performance upgrades, and it's something you can subscribe to or just buy as a lifetime purchase. We're kind of in this weird situation in this era where people are doing subscription things, which I think people are very polarized about.
Yeah.
But it's an option.
Yeah. Interesting story with the EV9. It's one of Kia's first vehicles they're doing a lot of these connected things on. It's also going to supposedly have over-the-air software updates. This would apply to every single Kia EV9. But as we get upper in the trims, we get more of these kind of customizations, features that, like Jordan was saying, you could subscribe to if you wanted. So all kinds of fancy, I guess, optional upgrades you can kind of continue to add on. But let's get in the interior on this GT line and talk about what the GT line bumps up from the Land. So on the Land, and as we'll talk about in this video, GT line, basically the highest end EV9 models, you get the standard suite of highway driving assist that Hyundai offers you, but also more sensors, more cameras, which allow you to get a 360 view, as Kia calls it, a surround view, as well as a remote parking assist, as they call it, which is on this key. By the way, cool key fob for the EV9, Jordan. I like it.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, they all look similar. However, this one on the Land and GT line models has, as you can see, the remote parking feature. So in tight spots, you can actually move it forward and backward. Kind of neat. You also get one of my favorite features on Kia models, which is that blind spot monitor, where not just a warning when a car is in your blind spot, but you actually get a camera feed when you're using your turn signals to see what is to the left or the right of you. I like that a lot. So Jordan, I think that's a big reason people who are tech conscious and want the safety features may want one of the highest end EV9s.
I agree. There's great visibility in the car, but it's really nice to have the surround view and added safety when you're driving a behemoth such as this.
One of the upgrades you get on the interior with the Land is a standard Meridian surround sound system with basically just nicer, more speakers, fairly standard premium audio. You also get another optional upgrade. This is a paid option on Land to get massaging seats on the GT line like we're in. This is a standard feature. Jordan, what do you think about these massaging seats?
They are not worth it, if you ask me, and pretty much every other journalist that was on the press drive. We used them in my press drive video pretty much the entire time, and they're fine, but it's like not great. I wouldn't pay extra for them. If you're getting the GT line, they're built in, that's great. This is where the button is. If you have the Land without them, this is just all a steering wheel heated button. So.
And this is part of the relaxation package. So yeah, relaxation package is what you want in Land if you're really after massaging seats, or you can just spend $4 grand more and get into the GT line, which we'll talk about. One other benefit of the Land's optional and the GT Line standard relaxation package is not just massaging front seats, but also reclining second row seats. So we're back to the second row seating world. If you want bench seats, you have to go back in trim levels we've already talked about. Everything on the premium Kia EV9 trims is captain's row only. But because we have the relaxation package, these captain's row chairs let you recline a lot. However, if you're going to be reclining a lot, you're going to want to move, of course, the front passenger seat forward, which you can do because they have these buttons here, which you can access. So be polite to your front passenger. But if you want to go in full lounge mode, I suppose you can with this relaxation package. You can also store your bento box or whatever you're having for lunch on this cool floating center console that is only on the Land and GT line. We do not get this on the earlier Wind and Light models we looked at, but this is one of the distinctive interior features of the Kia EV9. I like this a lot. Jordan, what are your thoughts on these kind of interior upgrades?
Yeah, I feel like the relaxation one's not really useful. So in that seat that you're in, if you are fully reclined, that means that seat and that seat are useless.
Oh yeah, so I'm not only compromising the first row, but also the third row.
So if you're wanting to recline, you can fit about 3 people in this car. Otherwise, it's fine. So I don't think the reclining thing is really worth it, but I guess it's up to you. It depends on how many people you have. A lot of people in America buy 3-row SUVs, even though they have 3 people in their family. So there's an option for that. They also have the heated and cooled seats, which are very nice. I really do like having that, especially the second row, because not all cars offer those in the second row.
Yeah, having them be both heated and ventilated and nicely standard even on Land. So, right, Land is $70,000, $4,000 more, 74 grand-ish MSRP gets you GT line. I think by the time you're looking at Land, Jordan, my thoughts are a lot of these upgrades we talked about that are optional on Land, you get standard on GT line, you might as well just go full hog, get the GT line.
My theory is Land will sell the least. I think it'll be people buying the Wind, or they will up to the GT line. You even have the shade behind you, by the way. That's a nice feature in the window. So, yeah, this is like your luxurious version of the EV9.
Yeah, it's the nicest EV9 we have so far. There will be a performance GT proper model to come next year, but for now, this is a pretty tricked out EV9. A cool thing that's pretty much common on all the EV9 trims, I know many of you are curious about, is cargo space. This is the same dimensions of vehicle, and all the seats, no matter which one of the many complicated configurations you get, can fold all the way flat. So Jordan, you can see we've got these like shortcuts here, second left, second row right. Those will power kind of slide them forward. We still have to manually use a strap to fold one of them down as you've done. Similar situation for the third row. Once we do though, we seem to have a lot of storage space.
Yeah, you can easily lay down, you can car camp. Car camping is extra nice when you do have the moonroof, which is closed in this one at the moment, but you have that option.
Yeah, we're in full relaxation mode. We've got the moonroof closed, the shades. I mean, this is a perfect kind of setup for car camping or whatever activities you may want to do in a large SUV.
They need to add camp mode. And it's great. You have this power outlet right here, which is standard even on the light base model. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, we mentioned that vehicle to load feature earlier in the video. That's what it looks like. You also, by the way, can do that with a optional adapter you can buy on the vehicle's charge port, which is pretty fun. All right, so Jordan and I have shown you the gamut of Kia EV9. This vehicle spans, as you can see, a lot of features and prices, right? Going from that base rear-wheel drive model at 55 grand to a GT line that is 74 grand. So lots of money options, lots of different configurations you can get. And the question is, which one do you get if you're completely lost, at a loss? What Kia EV9 do I buy? Jordan, what are you thinking?
Telluride.
Yeah, if you want an EV beyond the Kia Telluride, which is a great combustion SUV, it's actually kind of interesting, Jordan, because like you got to figure, do you want rear-wheel drive? Do you want all-wheel drive? My money is, if I want rear-wheel drive, I might as well get the cheapest one with the smaller battery, assuming I'm not doing road trips, because it still charges decently. Okay, it's less range, but it's also a lot cheaper by 5 grand than that one with a large battery.
Yes, I want to dispel the myth that you need all-wheel drive if you have snow. Most people are driving in normal streets. All you need is actual proper snow tires. Our friends at Nokian, not sponsored, do have great ones. There's a lot of other great snow tires too. So rear-wheel drive is totally fine in the snow. I think you do get a lot of bang for buck with the lower trims. You get the HDA as standard. You get lots of great things. It's still an EV9, it's still a 6 or 7 seat SUV. I'd probably opt for the cheapest, or maybe second cheapest. I'd probably do the Wind 7-seat if I was personally choosing. But what about you?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Jordan. I think the middle of the road, if you want all-wheel drive and like that 7-seat configuration, probably makes sense to go for something like the Wind model. And then I think the most awkward one, which you mentioned in this video, is that Land one, which is high-end, but not as quite as high-end as GT line.
Yes, and I want to briefly mention, it's interesting, Kia has placed this just above Telluride. Telluride goes from 35 to about 55 grand. This starts at 55, goes up to about 75 grand. So for 40 grand, you have a wide spectrum of 3-row SUV you can pick from Kia, which is really cool. The EV6, it was over there, it's gone now, is kind of its own weird, quirky vehicle by itself. It's not really an electrified version of something, whereas Kia themselves have considered this kind of the electrified Telluride.
Yeah, so if you were cross shopping, well, and you're wondering what the EV tax is, well, there it is. It's about 20 grand. Of course, there's some other nice things we've shown you the EV9 has, the Telluride doesn't. But yeah, quite a wide gamut of configurations. It's kind of unique. You know, a lot of EVs we get in the US, Jordan, there's like maybe 2 trim levels, a couple of options. Kia has just given drivers all kinds of options. So see what's available at your dealer, but hopefully this video was a helpful guide for you on which one you can pick.